Hi, it's Mike with Mab Landworks, back again with a new video. I got called into this job by a new homeowner. They have been in town probably about 2 years, and the builder left a pile of dirt in the backwoods. There is an easement back here. I'm gonna leave probably like an 8-foot or 10-foot buffer between the area I'm clearing and the easement. A lot of this, just wild invasive vines just growing everywhere. It's very difficult to even get started. Right now I'm just trying to push everything around as much as I can and kind of just, claw out a little bit of an area where I can turn around at least and work. There was one tree in here, I believe was dead, that I'll be chainsawing down in a little bit. But yeah, most of this, I mean, there's some stumps in here on this part of it. There's actually two. There's one I'm doing here. I'm sorry, three, and then two just past that. The other two were much larger. Unfortunately, I don't think I got video of those two. I did have to muscle them around a little harder than I wanted to. Not a fan of ripping out stumps with the machine. It's really hard on it. So I mean, it's, from my tractor days and breaking my oil cooler from constant impact and wear and tear. It's just not necessary. There's other ways to get rid of stuff. You don't have to, rip it out with the machine. These were small enough where I really didn't mind, so I did it. And then we're here. Very difficult to get into work here with all these vines. Hardly enough room to turn around, let alone be able to work safe. If I had just gone in and cut the tree down, a lot of these vines would have just held it in place or made it go the wrong way, and then I would have been in a much more precarious position. So I made a low notch here, and I was a little too close to the machine for comfort. And then I realized that since I'm ripping this stump out, I'm better off making a high stump. So that's why I made the notch up higher. That way I have more leverage when the time comes to rip out the stump. If I cut a low stump, ripping it out is a lot harder on the machine because I don't have the leverage that I would otherwise have. So again, I'm just chopping this up as best I can here. Separating from the pine trees in the back. They're dead, and it's pretty dangerous to try and rip this stuff out with the machine, because I could literally pull the tree from the neighbor across onto myself. So I want to separate the vines from the other trees as best I can. That way, when I do pull, if I do have to pull it with the machine, I'm only going to be pulling a smaller amount than actually having all those vines up there. So here I'm trying to clear out the weeds growing on top of this pile of dirt. It's mostly clay. As you'll see later, that'll become a problem for the finished job. But it is fairly typical of this kind of work. Here you see me trying to get to that stump from the backside. It's large enough to the point where I had to whittle at it from this way and then go around the other side, break a couple of the main roots, and then come back around this way to get it out. So it's time to change to the dirt bucket. By this point I had already pushed over the stump, the the dirt pile. So I'm trying to just finish up the grading here. So I tried to stay off the lawn as much as possible when you get to this finishing part, to follow the grade or the level of the lawn. I kind of have to start on the lawn side just so that I get a good perspective as to the height that I want to be at, to blend it with what's around. So I just typically start by scraping little bits at a time, just playing with it, scraping the highs here, pushing them into the lows there. You know, I do that in one direction like I am here, then I go the opposite direction, and I keep changing the direction till I feel like I'm happy with the end result. All the brush I just pushed out into that into the wooded area. The customer wanted to take this out. Unfortunately, because of the access that we have here, I would have had to track over the lawn and damaged it quite a bit, getting that kind of material out of here. The pine trees have a lot of big branches that are growing low, and they would not allow the truck back there with the dump trailer. So I would have essentially wrecked a good path from the backwoods to the front of the house, or I would have had to do quite a bit of tree work, and that's just not something the customer wanted to do right now. I always find it amusing how little information you get from the video on the actual conditions of the site with the grading. The video just does not pick up on it. We did end up with somewhat of a raised area, but again, in the back we have an easement that we can't access. We can't work the dirt into that area, and there was quite a bit of material that was left over from when they dug out the foundation of the house. So at this point it started to become a problem with the clay, and the reason for that is as I keep working the material back and forth to get a good finish, I'm essentially kneading the water out of the soil, and the clay is becoming soft. And what happens with that is that no matter how many times I go over it, at this point, it's just not going to end up much better than what it looks like right now. Just because it's so soft that any direction that I drive in, the machine will sink probably about 6 to 8 inches and rut as it's going through. Once again, this is Mike from Mad Blendworks. Thank you for watching. See you next time.